Hi there, my name's Joe Cotton. I'm the Communications and Outreach Coordinator at the Department of Sociology at the University of Cambridge, and in this session today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the undergraduate programme in Sociology at the University of Cambridge, and I'm also going to talk to you about the admissions process so that if you make an application to Cambridge you can be confident that you've got all the information that you need. All the information is available on our website, that's sociology.cam.ac.uk. I'm just going to be picking out some highlights in this video session today and expanding on them a little bit, but I would really recommend that after you've finished watching this video you go online yourself, have a look through all the different sections and read through the parts that you're interested in so that you can get the full detail there. So, why study sociology? Our head of department says it better than me. There's a video here that you can watch in your own time here where Dr. Manali Desai talks about what makes sociology at Cambridge unique and the advantages of taking a sociological approach to modern social problems. If you're interested in social shifts, changes in attitudes, relationships, social structures, political trends, but you're not interested in them purely from a political science kind of policy perspective, but in a broader social perspective, then sociology could well be the subject for you. I personally like sociology for the fact that it brings so many different tools to the table. If you're thinking of a complex social issue, if you're trying to assess the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on living standards, if you're thinking about the reasons behind Brexit, if you're interested in climate change, these are all huge issues that you will need a variety of different perspectives to come to terms with. Economic, political, social, historical, philosophical. Sociology as a discipline will provide you both with the kind of macro level ideas and social theories to understand how societies are organised and how they develop, whilst at the same time giving you an appreciation of the micro level interactions on the level of kind of human beings and the ways that we're socialised and the ways that we can come to interact with each other and the ways that social systems can develop and change or stay the same. So what does it look like to study sociology at Cambridge? So many of you watching this video might not have studied sociology at A-level, and that's absolutely fine. I didn't either. And I should preface this by saying that sociology is not a separate degree at the University of Cambridge. You might know this already. It's taught within the context of an interdisciplinary degree called Human, Social and Political Sciences, or HSPS. So HSPS brings together a variety of social science subjects, including politics, sociology, and social anthropology. And in your first year, you have a little bit of all of them. It's kind of a buffet-style education where you'll take a separate paper on each of those different disciplines. So let's dive into the course structure of your first year. And again, there's a video here that you can watch that gives you an overview of the whole degree. I'm not going to show you that right now, but do go back and watch it later if you're interested. So in your first year, you'll take 4 papers, a little bit like if you studied 4 subjects at A-level. Your standard working week will be split down into 4 different courses that you prepare your readings for, and you have lectures for, and you'll have supervisions for as well. And I'll tell you more about the teaching style as we go along. But staying focused on the content for now. So within the HSPS degree, in your first year, you'll take 4 papers, and these will include an introduction to sociology paper, where you'll look at classic social theorists, including Marx, Durkheim and Weber, really trying to learn about how theories of society have been formulated historically and how those historical understandings can help us to puzzle through the world that we are living in today. So you'll have your sociology paper, you'll have 2 further courses taken from the other disciplines in HSPS, that's politics, international relations or social anthropology, and you can take a 4th paper if you would like in psychology, biological anthropology or archaeology. That 4th paper could also be in one of the 3 main subjects from HSPS that I already mentioned. So in your first year you kind of get this broad understanding and introduction to the disciplines within HSPS, which is really about helping you to create your worldview and to build a kind of a broader base of knowledge that you can use later on in your degree when you start to specialise in looking at particular issues or areas. I'm going to jump across now into our current students section just so you can see in more detail what these actual papers look like. So let's start in first year. So the paper choices that you have here in your first year, the politics papers here, Pol 1 and Pol 2, the social anthropology paper, and the sociology paper as well. So it could be that you just choose to take these 4 papers for your first year, or you might want to branch out and take some of the papers from different disciplines as well. And if you click on these sections, you can get some more information about what the teaching will actually involve, and you can also download the paper guide so you can even see the kinds of things that you would be reading for these papers. I would recommend doing this. The more information you have about the degree, the better an informed decision you can make about whether or not you want to apply. And when you make an application, you can even specify, oh, I'm particularly interested in these kinds of papers, which I've seen will come up in my second year maybe, or my third year. I really want to specialise in this area. So do in your own time come and have a look at the different elements of the teaching here, including the essays, exams, and supervisions. It's worth saying a little bit about supervisions now before I move on. Supervisions are a specific kind of teaching style that you will see in the Russell Group universities like Cambridge, Oxford, and it's essentially a small group teaching session that you will have with a sociologist on a particular area which they will have some kind of research background in. So you will have usually prepared an essay on a topic that has been assigned for a supervision. So you'll have done some readings, you'll have been to the lecture, and you'll have used the notes from both of those to write an essay. Then you'll take that essay to the supervision, and the supervisor will talk you through your arguments, they'll ask you questions about the topics, and it's really a way for you to kind of drill down in depth into the subject matter at hand. And because you're going to be in a group of, say, 2 or 3 people, you get a lot more contact with the teaching, with the supervisor, than you would otherwise get. And supervisors can be professors, they can be doctors, they can be PhD students, and they will really kind of help you to come to grips with the content of that teaching at hand. Now, you won't get this typically at other universities. This is something that's kind of exclusive to and kind of a signature teaching style from Oxford and Cambridge. So let's move now into the second year of the programme. So you've finished your first year and you've established your kind of broad basis understanding of the different disciplines in HSPS, and now you move into your second year. So the second and third year of HSPS are defined by different tracks, and you have a few different track options. So you can take single tracks in sociology, politics, social anthropology, which is great if you're just like, I just want a degree in this one area and I know that this is my thing and this is what I'm enjoying and what I'm passionate about. But you might think, actually, I want to combine, I want to do politics with sociology, or I want to do sociology with criminology. You can see that there's a variety of different options available for you here, and you can scroll on this page to find out in full detail what the paper choices would look like if you take these tracks. Now, I should say, you don't need to choose your tracks in advance. So you can just come, apply to the programme, you can go through your whole first year just trying things and seeing what catches your interest and seeing which readings you enjoy. There will be sessions held for current students to assess their options before they have to make choices towards the end of their first year, which track they want to go into, and you'll have plenty of people that you can ask for advice and guidance on this, including the supervisors that you'll have in your supervisions, your director of studies at your college, your course mates, your classmates, students in the years above you. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to basically test the water and try different things, and that's one of the advantages of an interdisciplinary degree. If your heart is set on one thing, and that one thing is within the HSPS Tripos, that's great because you can go into a single track. So also, you know, if you know what you want, that's also fantastic. So I'm just looking at the sociology single track now. You can see on the screen. So part 2A, this is what we call second year, and part 2B would be the third year of your program. So in the second year, you'll take some social theory papers. You'll take a paper in social theory, a paper in global social problems. Then you have a choice of either taking a paper in concepts and arguments or statistics and research methods. So the difference there is if you're interested in more quantitative or more qualitative sociology. If you want to take the route where you are going to be looking at poll data and survey data and you want a statistical understanding, SOC 5 is a great way to kind of develop that. Even if you don't think maths is your strong point, we've got a specialist teaching team to encourage and to support you through that kind of journey. And stats obviously opens up a whole world of data for sociological analysis, which can be really useful in strengthening dissertations, or if you are interested in going on to doing research, social research to inform policy, or for charities, or for for anything else, compiling reports and so on. A hugely useful skill. Whereas on the other hand, you have SOC 4, concepts and arguments, where you're looking at more qualitative techniques and strategies, which is useful if you're interested in more theoretical kinds of sociology or more qualitative styles, interviewing, for example. All of this you will be able to develop over the course of your degree at the University of Cambridge. So your third paper will be methodological, and then your fourth paper is your first real kind of open choice pick in the degree. So you can take your fourth paper in your second year from a huge range here of papers offered from archaeology, biological anthropology, criminology, education, history and philosophy of science, politics, psychology, social anthropology, or sociology. So you've got a wide variety of choices there. And if you're interested in seeing what these particular papers involve, you can have a look either on the websites for the various departments, or if you just scroll to the bottom here, we've got a summary of the sociological papers, which you can open up for more information. So yeah, in your third year, this is when you really start to specialise. So within the sociology single track, you get access to all the sociology papers in your third year. And the reason that there's this kind of stepping stone effect is the idea is you're building your kind of foundation of knowledge and your understanding and your theoretical approach in your first year and your second year, and then in your third year you bring all of that with you in order to specialise in particular areas that you have interest in, and perhaps even go on to write an undergraduate dissertation. So you can pick papers from any of the sociology topics, including media, culture and society, war and revolution, global capitalism, gender, race, racism, ethnicity, empire, colonialism, imperialism, health, medicine and society, criminology, sentencing, and the penal system. So you can take 3 papers from those sociology papers on the single track. If you would take a joint track, then you would usually take 1 paper from sociology and 1 from the other discipline that you have a joint track in. Your third paper can come from, again, a slightly broader list, including politics papers, social anthropology, biological anthropology, and psychology. So that's nice for you to know that there is still flexibility even within a single track. So if you do see one, you think you want to do sociology, but there's one politics paper that you're really keen on taking, well, Pol 13 or Pol 17, you would be able to take those papers. And then finally, you can swap one of your 4 paper choices in your third year for a dissertation. The undergraduate dissertation at the University of Cambridge is between 6,000 and 10,000 words long, and that would be a piece of research that you would undertake yourself with the guidance of a supervisor in an area that you're interested in, deploying all of the kind of sociological skills that you've developed over the course of the degree, and that can include fieldwork or your own data collection in the form of interviews, surveys, or other things as well. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of what it would actually look like to study the sociology degree at the University of Cambridge. Do dive in and have a look yourself at the information if you want more detail there. So that's on the kind of the course structure. So I'm now going to move on to applications and tell you a little bit about what it looks like to apply to sociology in case you want to make an application. Okay, so applying to sociology. Again, we've got an overview video here that you can watch in your own time that kind of gives you a broader perspective on the applications process, but we've got the key information here on the webpage for you to see. So, applications to HSPS are made through UCAS. The deadline is the 15th of October, which is earlier than most other universities. So do keep that in mind, that if you want to apply to Cambridge, you're going to need to get your things together a little bit sooner than for other universities. You would then be invited to an interview in December if your application is going to be considered. And I'll talk about the interview process as we get into it. Typically, the A-level requirements are A** AA for a competitive application to the University of Cambridge, or if you're applying internationally, we're looking at 40 to 42 points at higher level. So here, this is quite important, that there are no GCSE or equivalent requirements for entry into Cambridge. They are looked at as a performance indicator, but within the context of the performance of the school and college in which they were achieved. So if you're in the top fifth or even, higher of, people taking GCSEs in your school, wherever that is, then you should consider yourself competitive, even if you don't have whatever top scoring grades. And there's a equivalence checker for international students here as well. So what are we looking for in the application? Generally speaking, we're looking for people with exceptional academic ability and potential. We're looking for people who will benefit from and flourish in the Cambridge learning environment, and we're looking for people who are well suited to the HSPS course and can say why it's right for them. So that's why I dive into so much detail about the course structure. It's great for you to be able to show that you have that knowledge, that you've done the research, and that you've made the decision that you really want to study this programme for its breadth or for its depth or both, and that you can see yourself studying at Cambridge, attending lectures, doing readings, going to supervisions, that you would enjoy the chance to really knuckle down and study at the highest level. So it's really worth having a think about that. And if, once you look at the programme, you're like, actually, this isn't for me, that's absolutely fine. There's plenty of brilliant degree programs out there that you should consider, and the most important thing is that you feel like you will be a good fit for this course, and that you would enjoy the challenge that it presents. Okay, so fees and funding. I mean, obviously this is a really important consideration to take into account. University is expensive. It's also an investment in your future. So what is it going to cost to study at the University of Cambridge? Well, most important is to head to the undergraduate study website from the Central University, which breaks down all of the different costs. This is the document that you will want to download, that has the details of the tuition fees, depending on if you're a home student, an international student, if it's your first degree or your second degree. This is where you want to come for all of that information. We've got a summary of it here. You can see if you're a home student, you're looking at £9,250 in tuition fees per year. If it's your second degree as a UK student, that increases quite dramatically, as if you are an EU or an international student. If it's your second degree or you're an EU international, you're also looking at a college fee, and that varies per college. And again, you can find that information in the undergraduate tuition fees document on the university website. There may very well be loans available to you to help to cover these costs, so it's always worth checking what your government has available for you. The next largest cost is accommodation. Accommodation varies between colleges, and it's worth checking the different college websites to see what accommodation is on offer. Just to give you a kind of an idea, they might, for example, offer you a termly license at a particular college, which means that you can move out in the breaks, which can help keep the cost down because you're actually only paying for accommodation during term time, which is 8 weeks per term, 3 terms per year. So you can save quite a lot of money if you have the option to move somewhere else back home during the holidays. You might also want to take a period license, which will run right through from the start to the end of the academic year, so you don't have to move out in the breaks, but it costs a little bit more that way. So the average monthly accommodation costs vary quite dramatically because you might have an ensuite, or you might have a shared kitchen, or you might have all of these other factors, and this really varies on a college by college basis. So that's why it's important to have a look at the different colleges, and there's other things that you would want to take into account. There's also a Cambridge bursary scheme, which it could be worth looking into if your household income is below this figure, and different colleges have different funds to help to support students as well. And again, generally speaking, Cambridge is a small, compact city. You can walk or cycle pretty much anywhere within the city, so there's not really going to be any transport costs. The course costs, you're not required to buy any books. This you will be supported through the Cambridge University libraries to get access all of your readings, books and articles and so on. Although maybe you would want to buy some books for your own collection or out of your own interest. And social and living costs as well are kept low because a lot of social life will happen in your college where you can live and study. And of course, it's a debt that you would accrue, but it's also an advantage in having Cambridge next to your name that can help to give you a leg up in terms of career opportunities. And once you are a member of the University of Cambridge, you have access to the University of Cambridge Career Service for the rest of your life. So, and you can imagine how well connected that service is. So again, worth looking into all of this. If you would like, you can poke your nose into the Guidance for Teachers section, because they do have some really useful tips here on putting your application together, including details about references and how you can support applications and so on. So that could be useful to you. Now I'm going to jump into interviews and how you can prepare for that. Okay, so preparing for interview. The interview will likely be a part of your application process. About 75% of applicants to Cambridge are offered an interview each year, and it's just another part of the applications process to give the selection committee more information on the applicants that they're considering. You can imagine a lot of the applicants to the University of Cambridge have got excellent grades, and so they're just looking for more information about you as a student and your motivation and the way that you think, and they're trying to establish whether or not Cambridge will be right for you. So don't see it as a make or break job interview, kind of you're hired, you're fired thing. More of a chance for you to explore your interests, your academic interests, and to have an academic conversation around the kinds of things that you might be studying on the HSPS degree. It's an opportunity for you to ask questions if you have them, to show the way that you think through problems, and to give a kind of a sense of your interests as well. So we've got plenty of information on this webpage here about how you can prepare for your interview. I would really strongly recommend looking through all of this in advance, so that you have a feeling, like a sense of what the interview will involve. There's even an example HSPS interview question in this video, and as well as an example of the kind of unseen material that you might be asked to interpret, and some kind of further tips here on how you can make the best of your interview. Generally speaking, you're told to listen carefully to the question, ask for clarification if you don't understand. Don't be afraid to take a moment to gather your thoughts. Show you're working if you don't know the answer to a question. If you ask something tricky, talk about how you would work it out if you don't know the answer. It's not something that I'd studied, so I guess in order to, I'd need to think about these things, or I'd want to know more about this, just so they get a sense of how you will deal with the kinds of situations that you will find yourself in over the course of the degree. There's also some Cambridge interview myths, and there's Inside Uni as well, which have a database of questions asked in HSPS interviews, which it might be worth having a look at, although of course just because a question was asked in the past doesn't mean it will necessarily be asked again, but it could give you a bit more of an idea of what the interview process involves. And again, there's more information about interviews and the whole applications process on the Cambridge Undergraduate Study website, so do head over to there as well. You get all this information about how you can prepare and all of this. So there's plenty more information online for you to have a look at after this video. Or coming towards the end, you can have a little read about the experiences of some of our students and why they chose HSPS for themselves. Maybe you're interested in inequalities. Maybe you're interested in having a program that you can change and tailor to suit your own interests. You know, you might like the idea of doing independent study on your own, and you can click in to read a little bit more about these people's experiences and why they came to study HSPS at Cambridge. And then, yeah, indeed, just to say that Cambridge has a reputation for being, you know, academically, intellectually rigorous and challenging, and so you're not on your own on this degree programme. There's support available for you, not just in terms of the staff at the department, also in terms of the libraries that you've got, the resources that you have access to, the wellbeing and pastoral support from your colleges, and the variety of university services as well, including student wellbeing and disability resources and the counselling service and all of this. All of these things are available to you, so you're really you're not on your own when things get tough, as well as your course mates. You've got a whole array of university services available to you as well. So the last thing that I might say is that you might want to have a look at our events page. We record a lot of our events, particularly the ones that have been taking place during the pandemic, so you can have a look at the kinds of things that are going on in the department that you might be able to get involved in or attend as a student, that would help give you ideas for essays that you're writing or your dissertation, or generally just give you an insight into the world of academia and what it might be like to pursue that as a career. So have a little scroll through here. I mean, particularly have a look at our sociology seminar series, I would recommend. There's a range of different panels on particular kind of areas of sociology that you might be interested in. And that way you'll have just more things to talk about in the interview as well. You know, that you've attended some events that caught your interest in these ways, or that you've done certain readings, this is how you followed up. Generally speaking, your interviewer will be interested to see how you take your interest of sociology beyond the curriculum, in the sense that in addition to what you've been required to do as part of your formal education, A-level or whatever else, you've gone out of your way to learn more out of your own interest in things that you've read or things that you've done. So these are more opportunities here for you to engage further in that. So I really hope that this has been useful to you. I appreciate it was a lot of information. Thank you for attending, for signing up to come along. It's already a great sign that you're considering your options, that you're having a serious look at what it might mean to apply to Cambridge and study at Cambridge. So all the best, and speak to you soon.